Hello, it's time for Combat Patrol Carnage. Hello and welcome back to the latest issue of Combat Patrol Carnage. We are starting our latest delivery, Delivery 6, and we're going to kick things off with issue 19, the hotly anticipated Parasite of Mortrex to add to our Tyranids. So this is our bonus model to add to the Combat Patrol. How you use it in battle is you replace the barb gaunts, and there's a nice little bit that actually says if your opponent agrees, you can do this in regular Combat Patrol games, providing you are using the Combat Patrol, the Terrors of Varngast. I think that's what it's called, isn't it? The Varngast Swarm. Providing you're using that, you can easily swap out the barb gaunts for the Parasite of Mortrex for a fun little addition to the army. So quite nice. In the rest of the magazine, of course, we've got our build and paint guides for it. Not a very long paint guide, but still we're going to have quite a lot to do to get the colours on. We've got some nice read articles. So we look at the Great Crusade, 2 short stories, The Enemy Within and Bonds of Honor Part 5. We, of course, have our data record for the Parasite of Mortrex. A little bonus sort of Tactica readout. And then we have our latest mission, which allows us to try out the Parasite of Mortrex in a battle. So this is the model we got. The Parasite of Mortrex just comes on a pretty standard sort of size sprue. So we've got his wings, the tail, little base detail up here, the 2 houses body, 3 parts of the head, and his arms as well. So yeah, fun little model, quite nice. Looking forward to doing it. Never actually built and painted one of these before, so going to be something different. And we also get a 40mm round base for him to stand on. So before we hit the table, don't forget to do all the usual. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop me a comment down below. Doing those 3 things allow us content creators to know that we are greatly appreciated and helps us to create more content for you guys. Especially if you let us know what you want to see in the future. Finally then, Combat Patrol Carnage is proudly sponsored by warbay.shop, your one-stop supply for all your hobby needs. They stock everything from new and used models for different armies and game systems, to hobby supplies, gaming equipment, and Combat Patrol magazine. So if you want some extra issues, they have up to issue 30 available to pre-order, so check the link in the video description, and you might be able to find your next hobby project at a bit of a discount. Right, let's head to the table. We'll build and paint our Parasite of Mortrex, ready for its game. So here we are then with issue 19, and first off we've got the awesome model for Parasite of Mortrex. So we got his head there, or the top half of it. We got his bottom jaw there, and the rest of his head just there. 2 halves of the body, we got some little base detail, his 2 wings, his extendable claw there, and his tail claw for the bottom of the wing there, and his other extendable claw just there. And finally we have the lower body and his barb stinger just there. There's the underside, so you can see what that looks like. So yeah, looks pretty good. So we got the base there as well, just a 40mm base. So not a very big model, as you can tell, but still pretty cool anyway. So I'll do the usual, go through the contents of the magazine. We'll have a quick look at the build guide and the paint guide before we actually bring in the model and do our construction and painting. So I'll be right back. Into issue 19 we go then. So we have our build and paint guide for the Parasite of Mortrex. We have our read articles looking at the Great Crusade, The Enemy Within, a short story, and Bonds of Honor Part 5, a continuation and possible conclusion, as I haven't read it yet, of Sergeant Askerton's story. Collect articles, we got one for Parasite of Mortrex, so we can give it a name for the particular moniker name that has been given by the local populace. We have a tactical readout for the Parasite of Mortrex, and we have our latest scenario, Alpha Strike, where we get to field this guy. So build guide is pretty simple. So we got the lower body and the two halves of the main body to glue together first. Then we glue the three parts of the head on before we glue the head into position on the body. Then we're attaching the wings as well as the lower claws. So left wing first, then the right wing. There we go. Try and get the R's and W's in the right position. And then we add on its clawed arms. So those are the final components, and the little base detail as well before we glue it down. Personally, I'm probably going to glue the base detail down first and then glue the tail into the body so that I can at least get that stable while I work on the rest. Although we have got the glue parts into here, so that's not going to be too bad. I can work on the upper body while the glue on the tail and the base work dries. Then we got our build guide. We've just done that. We've got our paint guide. So yeah, he's very similar to the rest of our Tyranid models. So we're going to undercoat it with 3 coats of Wraithbone. I'm going to base coat the armour with 2 coats of Baraknar Burgundy. I'm going to coat the leathery wings with 2 coats of Squig Orange. Then we're going to pick out all the claws and mandibles with Abaddon Black. And finally we're dropping Screamer Pink right into the mouth on his tongue. And that's pretty much it for the moment. There's going to be a lot of colours to add in the future. Our next paint issue after the one in this delivery is actually Null Oil and Caribou Crimson. So we'll be able to add our Caribou Crimson wash to our bodies. So yeah, we've got lots of small details to look at. We've got little bits of armour going up the tentacles at the bottom of his wings. And we've got little spines that you want to leave Wraithbone on his tail as well. So yeah, to take a good look at the gallery. Right then, let's bring our model in and we'll get building. So here we have a model. Like I said, I'm going to do things a little different to the build guide. I'm going to take the tail, and the base detail, and we're going to glue those down first. And so we want to glue the flat bit here on the base. Just look at the instructions. So it wants us to have it sort of just off center like that. And then we want to put a bit of glue just around there. And we can push in post on the tail, leave that to dry, and we'll work on the rest of the body. So parts 2 and 3 then, the 2 halves of the body. Apply some glue around the edging. Now we've got 2 little guide nubs just there, which correspond with the 2 little holes on this side, so that we can get everything lined up nice and perfectly. So we'll leave that to dry and we can start work constructing the head. So we want parts 4, 5 and 6. So there's 6. 4. And 5. So a small dot of glue just on that ball joint there, which goes into the little bowl on the lower jaw. Get that in position. Now we got this little arrowed section here. Which corresponds with the gaps just on the underside of the head there. That goes just like that. And there we have the head, if it will focus. Very alien xenomorph looking. So with those built and dried, we can now start work on gluing the body components together. So a little bit of glue just on the inside. There. I got this little pentagon-like shape that goes into the hole in the bottom. Boom, like that. And we've got the same here, pentagon shape. We've also got this little notch in the back of his head where he will sit in to his armor plate, just like so. So I think my glue is starting to get empty. Bit of glue around there, bit of glue just there. And boom. There we have our Parasite's main body done. Next up we need to add the wings. So we want 8 and 7, so this one and this one. So, bringing the body, we want to glue the lower wing into the joint there and the little tab just there. So, bit of glue, and then that goes in like so. Make sure I push firmly so the bond is strong. And then we want to put glue running down the length of the side like that. So what we'll do is, to make it easier, we'll run the glue down the bits that actually connect, like so. And then let that equip into position like so. And leave that to dry while we cut out and attach wing 9. Just like the other wing, we're going to run some glue down the connectors here. There we got hole there, hole there. There we go, he's getting there. All we're going to do is attach the arms, which in hindsight, I'd probably say glue the arms on first, then glue the wings, but I'm doing things difficult, so. Alright, first off, part 11, the extended claw here, which goes on the right side of the body. So you got a little pointy tab just there, so I'll put glue on each side, and that goes into the socket, and it should be sort of like that, just out to the side a bit. And finally then, part 10. The left claw arm, which is sort of retracted and recoiled, I guess, or coiled up, ready to lash out. Again, we got a little tab just on the end of the arm. There we got the socket just in there. And yeah, definitely want to do this with the wings off, I think. That should be out to the side like that, and there we go. One Parasite of Mortrex fully built, ready to get painted. So I am off to slap 3 coats of Wraithbone on this guy, and I'll be back with the paint guide. Here we are then with the Parasite of Mortrex. As you can see, he is coated in 3 layers of Wraithbone. I have had quite a bit of trouble with this connection. It has broken off twice. It still feels pretty weak, so I'm not expecting it to hold out. It might go to the point where I'm going to pin it and super glue it in place. Hopefully that won't interfere with this video. I'm going to try and get through the colours as quickly as I possibly can. So without further ado, let's dive into our first one, which is Baraknar Burgundy. So we want to paint this over all the carapace sections. So we've got the detail on his head here. Being careful around the very edging there. Which needs to remain the wraith bone. And we got the carapace on his back and the lower bit here as well. But as you'll remember, there are some small pieces of chitinous plate just on the ends of the whip-like appendages, so don't forget to get those as well. Right, you might notice that this guy's in a slightly different position. That's because I've had to put a pin up into his tail and pin into his base detail as he snapped off, just as I'd finished doing the second layer on the carapace. I've had to do a third layer after rubbing off some of the paint, but it's now ready to move on to the next colour, which of course is squig orange for those wings. So some of the paint prepared on our palette, we want to apply this to all the membranes. So you want to try and avoid any of the areas that need to be wraith bone. So all the appendages, the skeletal structure on the wings, etc. We should hopefully only need one coat, but just in case, you might need to go over it with a second. Don't forget to get the bits of the wings that go down onto the body, like so. And the tips of the wings as well, again avoiding those skeletal fingers. There we have it. The wings are all done and we're ready to move on to the next stage. There's a few areas I've overspilled slightly, but I'm going to do a tidy up at the end of wraith bone once I've got all the colours down. So our next colour is going to be Abaddon Black for all his claws. So we've got the claws obviously at the end of each arm here. The smaller underneath ones as well, and even these bits on the elbows are claws, so pick those out with the Abaddon Black. We've also got the mandibles either side of his jaws there, and finally we've got the tail to do. Being careful around those spikes there, we want to try and leave those wraith bone if we can. With all those claws painted in, we're nearly complete. There's just one colour left to do. We need an itty bitty bit of Screamer Pink, and that's just going to be on the inside of his mouth. Like so. All that's left to do is do any tidy ups, which I'll do off camera, and we're ready to unleash this guy in our next battle. And there we go. Our Parasite of Mortrex is ready for the tabletop. I've also picked out the little bits of Baraknar Burgundy on the tops of his claws there. I'd missed those in my initial paint through, but yeah, got them in the end when I was tidying up. The wings are far from perfect. Definitely got to go in with a smaller brush and touch up a little bit more with the squig orange. But yeah, he's good enough for now. So up next then, it's time for our lore articles. So we learn about the Great Crusade and we have 2 short stories. So I hope you'll join me for that. All I have to do is to say thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you next time on more Combat Patrol Carnage. Goodbye.